Today in the Brick Lab, we're going to be taking a look at a dragon for Samurai X. So originally this was going to be an elemental dragon, but then I saw the LEGO Ninjago movie Lloyd's Mech Dragon and I realized Samurai X has a lot of vehicles, gadgets, and mechs and things like that, so I turned this into a mech dragon and quite frankly I'm happy with the way it turned out. Plus it would look really good in the X cave. So let's take a quick look at some of the features. So let's start our tour with a look at the head. Now in order to really drive home the mech dragon aspect, I gave the dragon solid gold eyes, but you can swap them out for the transparent colors of your choice. Trans light blue would probably work best in this case. And as you can see here, the dragon also features an opening mouth, and it also has some whiskers on the side here. I really like the look of them, and I think they add a lot to the character. Now the neck here, it's nothing too special, it's just the standard neck that I stole from the fusion dragons, but the legs are where it starts to get kind of fun. So the legs are one of my favorite parts, and I really like the way they turned out, what with the alternating color scheme with the blue here, the gold spiked band on the leg here, and then of course the black to finish it all off. And I'm really fond of the toes too, because they really do look menacing, these claws. And as you can see here, I also stole the stud shooter on the leg idea from Lloyd's Mech Dragon. It was a fun play feature, and I figured it's unobtrusive enough that it's pretty much out of the way if you're not using it. But if you want to use it, it's right there when you need it. Of course, the only downside is that it can only be fired while the dragon is in flight, so that somewhat limits the play possibilities. But let's go ahead and fire that stud shooter off just to show Ninjago who's boss. Yeah, that's what I thought, punk. And that's pretty much it for the front legs. Now the back legs, they're a lot simpler. They're back legs. They feature some nice dark blue and some gold detailing, and of course the same claws that are on the front. But overall, they're nothing too special. So moving on to the tail is actually a recycled version of the one I used in my mini Iron Doom mech, with some size thrown onto the end for good measure. Now, I did think about adding in stud shooters on the end of the tail, kind of like in Lloyd's Energy Dragon, but at the last minute, fortunately, I realized that that was just way too tacky and should not be done. Now, I'm not saying that if you wanted to, you couldn't just move one of the sides forward and maybe tuck in a stud shooter on each side, but honestly, that looks really tacky. Don't do it. Or you can if you want. I mean, I'm not judging. So let's move on to the body, which has all of my favorite play features. Now the first one, of course, is the seat for Samurai X. I mean, duh. You'd kind of expect that one to be there. I mean, what? Samurai X isn't going to be able to drive its own mech dragon? No. And next we have this pop-up computer display here. And it's also removable, which means that if Samurai X needs a little mobile workstation, there it is. Of course, that does tend to leave an ugly gap right here, and you could always fill that in with the slope of your choice, either this gold slope here, or if you'd rather have something a lot smoother, you can always just use this black 1x2 slope. And it fits in nicely. And moving on, as you can see underneath, we have clips on here for weapon storage. I'm using Samurai X's gold swords, but of course you can swap them out with the weapons of your choice. And if we lift up the leg here, you can see on the front, we also have 2 flick fire missiles. Now, personally, I enjoy those as a play feature, but if you don't, it's also fairly easy to remove them. Just pop out that little section there, and there you go. And now let's move on to the final and my favorite play feature. You've probably noticed the jet engines here by now, and those serve a purpose, because these side panels here actually pop out and open up to reveal wings. Well, they are the wings. And also these little flaps here also lift up, and these flaps up front lift up. Then all you have to do is ignite those jet engines and your Samurai X Dragon is a go for takeoff. Now I didn't bother giving it big wings since of course it has the jet engines, but if you'd like your dragon to have wings, you can always feel free to build your own version. I mean, there's probably a lot you could add on to this, or if you'd rather just have an elemental dragon, you can always just take one of my other elemental dragon designs. I'd recommend Lloyd's Golden Dragon. And just give it the Samurai X color scheme. A lot of dark blue, some gold, and of course a lot of black as well. Maybe a splash of dark tan or 2 on the bottom, or the sides, whatever. Just give it some decorative look. I mean, obviously this is LEGO. You could build whatever you want. If you don't like what I've come up with, feel free to come up with your own design. Anyway, that concludes our look at the Samurai X Mech Dragon. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and do all that other good stuff. If you feel like there's something I can improve on, please also feel free to let me know in the comments below, and stay subscribed because more videos are coming your way soon. A lot of LEGO Ninjago movie minifigures. They're coming.